Hello, my beautiful friends. I am so excited to explore Cancerian energy with you today as we move through Cancer season, Moon Children season. This is an energy that means a lot to me personally. Author's bias. I have my Venus in Cancer. I am married to a Cancer sun and moon. This energy has been very important in my life. It is one of the sweet spots of my life and a place that has given me a lot and helped me to explore myself and come to some deeper understanding. And I also think this is just kind of like a low-key energy. It doesn't get the fanfare it deserves in general. It's, partially because this is an energy that is focused on our internal worlds, our hidden worlds, the worlds that aren't about the public eye, but are about what it really feels like to be inside of ourselves and inside of our internal worlds and like our domestic worlds as well, which is a really, really potent and essential energy that we each have to explore. And I just love this energy, and it's a beautiful Cancer season ahead this year. So today we are going to go through some of the main themes for this Cancer season. I'm going to talk a little bit about why I think Cancer energy is so great and how to work with it a little bit better. And then we're going to go through the aspects that are coming up for this Cancer season, so you can take that with you, and some of the themes we're going to be exploring. And finally, I will pull some cards to reflect the 4 or so weeks coming up for us as we move through this beautiful time of year this season. So, what is Cancer energy all about for those of you who maybe haven't spent much time thinking about this or connecting with it? This is the cardinal water sign. There's a lot of determination and power in this energy. It is traditionally associated with the moon, emotions, protecting the home and the family, with the mother archetype, the nurturing archetype. Pop astrology likes to tease Cancers for being overly emotional, passive aggressive, controlling, holding on for too long, holding grudges for ages, etc., etc. But to me, this is a demonization of the intuitive, the emotional, and the wise that our culture has been busy doing for a while, hundreds and hundreds of years. And so part of the teasing of Cancer is also a reflection of our own understanding and comfort and connection with our internal worlds, our internal mothering system, and the way that we process and pay attention to what our emotions are trying to tell us. So I just want to put that out there right away. This is one of the most potent energies if you want to feel connected to yourself and to your journey in life. And, for me, this is a sign of healing and connection. It's about allowing others to hold us and be seen by others when we need it the most, not doing things alone, not feeling like we have to just soldier on by ourselves. This is about deep intuition, really listening to our intuitive knowing. This is inside out thinking. So this is about taking care of the garden of our soul and our intuition and our emotions, and that affecting the way that we live out in the physical world. Very, very important logic here in Cancer energy. This is about trusting ourselves, listening into our intuitive system, homing in on our intuitive system. And I think maybe most essentially, this is about prioritizing the things that really, really matter. This is a sign that's also associated, like I said, with security and feeling secure in your home. So with that in mind, some of the main themes for this specific Cancer season are going to be focusing on letting go of painful illusions and old patterned thoughts. This is going to be a really, really powerful time of exploring any of those painful thoughts, repetitive thoughts that have been coming up. And on top of that, even more importantly, I think in conjunction with this, is what makes you feel safe in this world. This is a time and a season where we will be asked to focus and develop and really put some energy and emphasis on figuring out what makes us feel safe in our internal landscape. And essentially, this is going to have to do with how we inner mother, how we inner parent ourselves, and how we speak to ourselves with respect and love or with contempt, right? So this is going to be about finding the tools, the rhythms, the practices, and getting really, really committed to those in finding ways to feel safe within our internal system, and therefore in living this life and being a part of it here. I think also this is going to be a great season to really focus on your intuition. Listen to it, practice, have some fun playing with your intuition and seeing how it's working on small, unimportant, mundane things. Notice how it's functioning together in just the little details of the day, and start to build on that, because this is a great time to build self-trust. Really, really important. I love this energy so much. We start off Cancer season every year with the solstice. Summer solstice here in the Northern Hemisphere, winter solstice in the Southern Hemisphere, and this kicks off the second half of the year. And this Cancer season, how do I put this? It has been a ride. It has been quite the couple of years. And there's still a lot of turbulent waters, as always in the world. There's always turbulent waters in the world. I think that is something that is true. This is a very important season of healing, like I said, of connecting with ourselves. And when I mean healing, I mean coming home to ourselves, feeling like we can take breaks from the turbulent waters within ourselves and within the world, that we can find those calm waters, those loving waters, those little lapping waves that hold us. This is going to be the practice and the central component of Cancer season. So right away, we have the solstice, the sun moves into Cancer, Venus moves into Gemini on the 22nd. This is very playful, flirtatious energy, so fun. It's very, very curious energy. So right off the bat, the beginning of Cancer season is going to be about playful curiosity with what brings us joy. The new moon in Cancer comes up about a week after the beginning of Cancer season starts on June 28th. This is a new moon that is going to square Jupiter in Aries and is going to be conjunct Lilith. So I know that sounds a little intimidating, and I'm looking over here at my notes because I have so much to cover today. The new moon in Cancer is going to be about honoring the fierce knowing within us about how we are changing. And yeah, that can be a little intimidating if we feel like we have been suppressing a fierce knowing for a while. We have been suppressing our intuition, or we have been resisting our own intuitive knowing. Then of course you might be a little nervous about this new moon. For those of you who have been, checking in with it and moving with it, this may not be the biggest revelation of the world, but this is going to be a time of deep honesty. Deep knowing within ourselves, and really hearing that deep knowing and not just brushing it off and putting it to the side, knowing how we're expanding and growing, knowing what we're needing to address or change, knowing what's calling to us to try and do, even if it is vulnerable or scary or we don't know how it's going to work out. So this new moon really is asking us to honor whatever is already sitting there within us and really be seen and heard and felt. So we will get back to that as well with our new moon chat before that happens. So we will be talking about that very, very soon. On that same day as the new moon in Cancer, June 28th, Neptune will be going retrograde for a few months. So Neptune retrograde is very helpful. This can help us to see things with clear eyes. Things that maybe we felt a little wishy-washy about or a little unsure of, or maybe we were just kind of floating along, not really wanting to look at it. Neptune retrograde can really just help us see with fresh eyes. So along with this new moon, I think the Neptune retrograde really can help us just figure out the parts and pieces moving forward. Those pieces of wisdom, those pieces of knowing that can help us make wise and introspective decisions about what we want our life to look like moving forward, as well as what's just calling us from within the house, because that is the central tenet of Cancer season. The call is coming from inside the house, and it's been ringing for a little while, and it is ready for us to really acknowledge and see and move on it at this time and incorporate it. I think too, it's like maybe not even move on it, because that's the beauty of Cancer into Leo season. Cancer season, we integrate, we understand, we listen, and then Leo season, we try, we do. So it's a great lineup. Then we get into July. July, we see Mars entering Taurus. And Mars has been in Aries doing its thing. So Mars going into Taurus, this is This is an interesting pairing because Taurus is a Venus-ruled sign. So Mars in Taurus is not totally comfortable. But what I love about when Mars gets challenged by a sign that it's not particularly comfortable in, especially the fixed earth sign of Taurus, of Venusian-ruled Taurus. This is about thinking about what we can sustain long term, not just what we force ourselves to do. The grit of just pushing through, holding ourselves tight, using all of our adrenaline, whipping ourselves on the back to get it done. This is about what we can sustainably create and do that we really mean. So this is just going to be a great transit over these weeks while Mars is in Taurus to explore what we are kind of forcing ourselves to slog through, and is it sustainable? How long can we sustain it? And how can we kind of start to think about ways to practically change things so that we can get into a more sustainable, loving space with our work. It doesn't mean we won't have hard days or we won't have to try and do things and have days where it is about that grit magic, but it's the sustainability factor here that I think we'll really be exploring as Mars moves through Taurus. So something to keep in mind in the coming weeks. Mercury also will be joining Cancer on July 4th. Mercury in Cancer is really interesting because a lot of pop astrology is going to tell you this is going to be a time of passive-aggressive communication. I suppose some people that's going to be the case, but I tell you what, people who are passive-aggressive communicators, they don't magically become that because Mercury went into Cancer. So what's really going on here with Mercury and Cancer is this is a time of greater understanding of our intuitive gifts. Mercury is the messenger, and it's of this very busy energy that's curious and exploratory. And in the sign of Cancer, we are exploring our hidden world. We are exploring our moonlit landscape that is within us. This is where we kind of hold our dearest projects close to our hearts. This is where we do the things that mean a lot to us, but in the privacy of our own homes. Things that we don't necessarily always think of as sharing, things that we hold close to ourselves. This is a great time to connect with those parts of ourselves that we do keep in the hidden and not in the public realm of our reputation and our communities. So I think this is actually really great for improving our creative and intuitive wisdom and really listening into what wants to be heard within that. Then we get into the full moon in Capricorn on July 13th. This full moon is going to trine Uranus. So this is all about breaking up old patterns. The full moon in Capricorn activates the Cancer-Capricorn axis, which is about safety and it's about security. This axis is always going to be about how can we develop a good foundation emotionally and practically. And how do we get that security? How do we make that security happen? So when you have a full moon in Capricorn, which is the more practical, real world side of that security, squaring off on Uranus or trining with Uranus, they're working together to break up any old unsustainable habits and patterns that are just not serving our foundation anymore. They're not serving the way that we want to build our foundation moving forward. And this is about kind of clearing the way to think about the foundation you want to build. And we will also get into that in more depth in our upcoming full moon in Capricorn chat. So we'll get a lot deeper on that topic very, very soon. Then Venus enters Cancer on July 17th. We're getting close to the end of Cancer season here as I talk, but Venus in Cancer is a very nurturing energy. This is an energy full of self-care, caring for others, making cozy meals for people, getting close, having intimacy. This is a very, very connective and deep energy. And if you're in relationships or you're dating, that could be great. And this is also just for the way you commune with your own life in the day-to-day and that deepening of self-care and nurturance, which is so beautiful. Then July 19th, we are starting to get into the Leo train here because Mercury enters Leo. This is big, bold, visionary energy, and it does take us in a new direction. The shift from Cancer to Leo season is always kind of a wild ride because Cancer is so much about this internal landscape. We are diving deep. We are feeling emotions. We are checking in with ourselves. We are seeing with the vision of the unseen world. And we are doing that from a place of integration and wisdom and observation and feeling through. And then we get to Leo, and it's like time to share whatever it is that came up through you, through Cancer season. Time to be more expressive. And that's exactly what Mercury in Leo is. It's about big, bold, juicy, expressive energy. On that same day, Chiron in Aries is going retrograde until December. Chiron in Aries is so interesting because in general, this is a long transit. We've been working with it for several years now, and we're going to continue to work with it for a while longer here. This is about healing and accepting the I amness of who each of us is, our quirks, just the way we are in the world, and coming to greater peace with that. Chiron retrograde, to me, the way it came up was that this is about witnessing our old haunted houses, our old motivations that are not quite lining up with our innate self. So the self that we forced ourselves to be, to get through school, to get through our home environments, to get through a work environment, whatever it was that we were trying to hold together as kind of a mask or a costume or an armor. This is a great time to just explore those themes. And we've got a good, 5 months of this transit. So it's going to be more low key behind the scenes. You just be noticing it occurring over time. So no rush there. And then, of course, on the 22nd, the sun will move into Leo. So this is a very truthful, honest, wise season this year. I think there's a lot of clarifying that's coming up. When I look at all these transits and the way that the moons are hitting and the way some of these retrogrades are beginning, there's a lot of clarity here. And there's a lot of, like I said, just deep, profound honesty that I think a lot of us are kind of longing for, and that coming home and that simplifying, and like I said, coming back to what really matters. So now, a card flew out. The Hierophant came out. I'm going to pull a card for 4 cards, and they'll kind of go through the 4-ish weeks that we will be in this energy. It's a little more than 4 weeks. The Star, hello. Won't argue with these cards at all. It's really interesting to be getting these very powerful major arcana cards that are tied to fixed energy. Judgment. Okay, we're just doing all major arcana all day. Sometimes that's how it goes, right? And Ace of Swords, clarity. Okay. So we're going on a little journey throughout this Cancer season. And I'll be honest, y'all, every Cancer season for me is a bit of a journey. I feel like something always becomes understood and felt through in a way I've never felt through it before. So I think a lot of us will probably experience that. Let's get into this. So the Hierophant, this is really interesting because the Hierophant is actually associated with Taurus. It's also associated with tradition and the old church even, if you really want to go back there. But the thing about this card is it's all about the foundational. It's all about the rock solid foundation we have under us and our access to the spiritual world within that. And the Hierophant, its shadow side, is this idea that there's some authority outside of us that is going to give us the permission to be at peace or to feel safe or to do any of those things. And the Hierophant always challenges us if we are waiting for that authority to bestow upon us a sense of security and safety and self-love. And that is going to be one of the first things that probably comes up this Cancer season. But I think the beautiful side of the Hierophant is that this is about a deep, deep commitment to deciding you are worthy of that peace and that grace. You may not have everything figured out. You may be visiting your haunted houses. You may have insecurities. You may have griefs. You may have things that are just scrambling you up. But if we can just get back to the basic of you are worthy of peace and safety. This is important that we come back to that. You are meant to live in peace. You are meant to live in safety. And we're allowed to affirm that, I think, is really what's coming so strongly across for me with the Hierophant. And with that as well, like I said, if you're waiting for a condition or a person or a synchronicity to tell you you're worthy of being at peace, this is the time to kind of look at that and take a breath and affirm a little bit just for yourself that you're allowed that. Now with that, we got the big dreamer, the star. So as we get deeper into this Cancer season, we get into the new moon in Cancer, the beginning of July, which is so much that week as we move into July is so much about hearing the call from inside the house. What I always say with the star is about your dreams coming true, things, supportive entities coming to be with you. But it means stepping out of the familiar old patterns. The star energy asks us, if you would like to explore some of these new reaches, these new places that you want to go, we can't rely on those old patterns, those old thought patterns, those old ways we define ourselves to take us on that journey. So with that call inside the house, with the new moon, with the beginning of July, this is a time to recognize any of those patterns that are keeping us from stepping into something beautiful. And like I said, hearing those honest calls that are here within us, sitting, waiting for acknowledgement. Then we have judgment. As we get into the second half of Cancer season, we are hitting into this judgment energy, which is about transformation. It's about forgiveness. It's about grace. And it's interesting for me because this relates to, I think, that Capricorn full moon. I think it relates to the Chiron retrograde in Aries, actually, because this is about being able to witness those parts of ourselves that have been in pain, that have been living in the haunted house, and give them release, give them expression and release, processing those emotions. And like I said, Cancer season almost always brings us through this process of deep communion with self if we're really paying attention, because the self-mothering energy and the mothering energy takes us to deep loving places, and we can only go to those deep loving places if we bring everything, including the parts of ourselves that hurt from the past or that didn't make sense from the past. I think judgment is also about embracing all the parts of ourselves, including any generational hurt, anything like that. So it takes us to some deep places, I will admit. But here's the thing that's so interesting. In general, it's like if you are willing to listen to yourself, like listen to your soul, listen to your spirit, do the processing, allow yourself to have support this Cancer season too, with your therapist, with your closest friends, with your trusted people that can be with you. You will get breakthroughs. You will get these insights. And that's where Ace of Swords comes in to close out Cancer season, because this is about new beginnings. Whenever I'm working with aces in tarot in general, I think about how this is innately suggesting that we've just been through a season. Like we have just been through some kind of experience, some kind of process where we got to the end of it and it was like, what now? And then this ace appears out of the sky, seemingly out of nowhere, to begin a new adventure. And for me, this Ace of Swords, it's hiding within us the entirety of Cancer season. It's just a matter of if we want to hear it or not. And it will present itself more and more as we move through this energy and as we move toward Leo season. By the time we get there, I think this Ace of Swords will give us so much clarity on where we put our foot next and how we move through this life. And of course, this is an ongoing process. It's not like we went through Cancer season and now we're done. Ta-da! It's an exploratory energy that then continues on as we move into Leo season, which y'all know I'm very excited for. As a Leo, with a lot of Leo energy, I am so excited to come around to that energy, but I am equally excited to move through this very, very, very special, magical time of year. I am going to be doing so much over on my Patreon. We are going to be doing a live call. I think it's going to have to do with themes that I just put out here in this chat, and that's for the upper tier, but we also have hangouts for everyone. Every single week I do a chat about what's going on, and my patrons have changed my life and really, really made a difference, and I want to just thank you for how much you have helped me in your comments, in your presence, in your energetic safety that I have felt in that community. And I am so, so grateful to each and every one of you for being there. If you'd like to be a part of that, I would absolutely love to see you there. I would just love it. You can also find me on Instagram, my website, all of those good places. I will leave the links below so you know where to find me. I would love it if you would subscribe. This is a work in progress space. There's always something new. I'm always trying out some different variety of chat, conversation, sharing more of my personal journey. So I'd love to see you here as well. And I will see you very soon for our monthly readings for July and for all these moons coming up. I am so excited to get into the meat of this time of year. So I'll see you all there very soon.